What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here with you. It is the Lowdown. Check out Pickdawgz.com. Make sure you click the like and subscribe button. That helps us out. If you click the notification button, that obviously is going to let you know anytime one of these gets posted. So appreciate you guys watching. So for the people that haven't watched this or haven't listened, I do come back in the morning once this is posted. So if you watch it before you see me post the weather leans, according to the algorithm, come back, you'll see it. I do it every day. I even, like with yesterday's, I updated because the weather algorithm, like the Braves under, my favorite play on the day was the Braves over. So it just shows you I don't always look at that. There were only a handful of games of data, which it's not enough for me to say, oh my God, the weather's so great, but it's still a lean. I mean, I'm still going to go by the little bit of data I have and throw it out there. But I always kind of denote this is a great spot. All the spots are good that I post because I don't post anything that doesn't have some sort of an edge, no matter how small. But the fact remains, like I've said this before, you look at Atlanta. Atlanta over was my top play on Monday. To be fair, it's the only one I got right. I went 1-4. Nobody likes to admit that, but hey, it is what it is. The 4 games, man, I just didn't get what I thought. Like a couple of those games, you get burned by one side not scoring at all and the pitcher being on. I liked Seattle with George Kirby. My algorithm loved him, and he sucked on Monday. I mean, he wasn't. Well, yeah, he sucked. Screw it. I was just gonna say F it. He sucked. They lost 6-0, and a couple other plays didn't go my way. Looking at it late, so bounce back for today. It's a Tuesday that I'm recording this, and my Tuesday plays. I was right back on the Braves over as my top play. Love the matchup here. Looking at the kid that was pitching for the Braves, he primarily throws fastballs and changeup. I'm not saying he's bad. He pounds lefties with that. And I don't know, some of the lefties in this Giants lineup were looking pretty good. I liked Devers the most. As I was looking up Devers, and as I did some research, he hits 465 or 485 off of anybody throwing changeups in his career. So, yeah, maybe not a wise idea to try to, throw him a changeup and speed up that bat. We'll see. Again, that game goes off later tonight. I try to tell you guys if the game's going on, and honestly, I don't allude to it because I don't want to get confused here as I'm doing it. There was a day I was doing the morning show, and I had all my work done for tomorrow, and I started talking about a game, and the guys were looking at me. He's like, what game are you? I was like, damn it, that's tomorrow's game because I'm doing research today for tomorrow, research today for today, all that. A couple other things I wanted to point out real quick. I do have something in here that in my research paid off big for me last time. I'm going to give that out as my free play. So it's kind of going to be 2 plays. You still got to look at the number, but we'll get to that when we have a chance. With Tuesday, though, I just want to go over the plays that I liked. I said I love the Braves over. I like the Liberty under as they're facing the Caitlin Clarkless fever. I love the over in D.C. with the Sparks and the Mystics. And I was on the Dream on Tuesday night as well. As they were on the road against the Vegas Aces. Now, in baseball, a little bit different story. I like the Orioles under. Cantillo graded out really well against the O's. I thought about taking his strikeout prop, but stayed away from it. I did end up taking 2 strikeout props, that being, where are my plays here? One of which was kind of in a couple of interesting spots now to think about it. Let me get my paperwork here. Now, the spots that we took, Framber Valdez under 5.5 Ks. The model really liked that. He was minus 135. I've told you I don't like betting bigger price tags, and I only go typically as high as 150, and I don't even like doing that. But if I find a spot that I think is just too good to pass up, I will bet it. As much as I'm being a math guys typically don't do that. But, when I feel strongly about a play, I'm a gambler. I'm not afraid to take a chance. So the other one that really stood out was that game between Logan Gilbert and Jacob Mizorowski. I'm waiting for the Mizorowski game where he gets kind of beat up a little bit and looks like a rookie. It's going to happen. I expect it to happen on the road, and this looks like a perfect time with the Brewers on their win streak. A little bit more pressure to keep that going, and a team that does strike out quite a bit in Seattle, but they have a lot of pop, and they've been swinging the bats fairly well since the All-Star break. I really liked Seattle last night, but I did think Mizorowski under 6.5 Ks. My model had him just over 4.5. Looks like a huge advantage, even with him being minus 150, and I do know that is risky, but he still needs to get 7 Ks. That guy's very capable of getting double-digit Ks, but I think this is a good spot to bet an under for him. And, some of the other games, that I looked at on Tuesday. Where are we at? The White Sox Rays over, even though the pitching matchup was Drew Rasmussen. I really felt like the weather there was great hitting weather. And I kind of I talked about the Mets Angels under, and what was the other one? Oh, Cincy Washington under. I did not go with those plays, full disclosure. I did have them written down because as I said, I write down all the plays I like, and then I go in reverse and scratch them out. So I'm not betting too many games or getting. There's nothing wrong with a lot of action, if you're playing it right. But you can get in trouble, and don't make it one of those days where you've been drinking all day, and then all of a sudden Sunday Night Football comes around, you're down way more than you're used to, and you're like, hey, why don't we just try to win it all back on one game that we didn't even like to start the day? So, I've been through it all. I've seen it all. So let's dive into these games. I feel like we have a distinct edge, especially on one. I talked about this before in research that I did, and just shocked that this pitcher owns this team and has consistently owned them in recent years. But we'll get to it in our free play. But let's start it off with the Padres and the Marlins. It's in a dome. I was looking at the weather. I don't think they're going to open the dome there. Dylan Cease versus Sandy Alcantara. Two guys. Sandy, more importantly, with his 7-run ERA, has not looked like Sandy. Dylan Cease's ERA is a little chunky. His whip's right around 130. He's been walking more guys. He's typically a guy that, when he's got the slider working, he's a big K guy. I still like the under here with these two teams. I mean, we're all waiting for Sandy to come out and actually have a couple of good starts in a row, and it just hasn't happened. I do think Cease will be able to limit damage in this Marlins lineup, although, I'm in Baltimore. Everybody here is talking about Kyle Stowers and what a mistake the Orioles made. I'm not in that group. We'll see what happens. He is a very streaky player, and he is on a hot one right now. He started off hot, got cold, got hot again. We'll see what happens the rest of the way, but looking like a steal for the Marlins, even though Trevor Rogers for the Orioles, he's got a .82 whip, and he's probably got 5 or 6 of their best starts this year, and he looks like an ace. I don't know if you can trust it. He looked like this in his rookie year, was really good. Made the All-Star game, I believe, and did he win Rookie of the Year or finish second? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm rambling here. As somebody pointed out, you get off topic too much. Let's get back to the games here. But I do like the under in the Padres-Marlins game. That's where I would lean. Red Sox and Phillies, wind out about 7 miles an hour. It's 83 degrees. Interesting pitching matchup with Lucas Giolito and Jesus Luzardo. I like lefties against the Red Sox, especially when Devers was there, and you looked at a lot of their talent coming from that side of the plate, or at least the premier guys in Duran and of course Devers. Devers no longer there with the Giants. But this is it's an interesting matchup because Giolito in certain spots has looked really good. One of the things I've noticed, though, too, is Romy Gonzalez, the little guy out of Miami, he crushes left-handed pitching. And the funny thing is he went 0 for 5 in his last game, I think, against left-handed pitching. He might be interesting to take a look at, even against the great Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo can get chunky at times, but I'm still going to lean to an under here. I think Giolito can limit some of the damage and the power. Look, Bryce Harper's starting to swing the bat well. Kyle Schwarber's been hitting yabos all year long. So, yeah, there is a concern with the wind being out at 7 miles an hour, but I'm still going to lean towards the under. Not going to make it an official play or anything like that. I'm not even sure that I'm going to be on this game, but I do think the matchup's intriguing. And, again, something I wanted to point out with Romy Gonzalez, you see him facing left-handed pitching. He shows up in my motto at the top of the list in the top 20, barring a Coors Field game just littered with bats and taking up most of it anytime he's facing a lefty. So something to consider there. And he usually bats pretty high in the lineup, like second. But I'm going to lean towards the under here as I think that's the better play. Let's go to the Angels and Mets. Wind's blowing out at 8 miles an hour. It's 82 degrees. Sean Manaea versus TBD. I hate doing this because it's a TBD and I don't know who it is, but let's be honest. With the Angels, the only pitchers, you look at Soriano, you look at Anderson, you look at Kikuchi. I'm assuming Kikuchi could pitch. He pitched Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, yes, Kikuchi could pitch here. Even then, I'm still going to like the over. Guy hits a lot of bats. He does strike out a lot of guys with the wind blowing out. I don't know if he's projected to miss this start or if he got some discomfort there. It's something I'm going to have to dive into in the morning. Because he's not listed, so I'm not looking it up right now. I'm waiting to find out who their starting pitcher is going to be. But I do think the over is interesting, and I know Sean Manaea has been absolute money at home except for his last start. I'm sure the Mets are going to have a heavy price tag depending on who the starting pitcher is, and it might even end up being a bullpen game from the Angels standpoint. As I've said before, the Angels strike out more than any other team in baseball. So if you want to check out Manaea's strikeout prop, I'm listening to you. But here, I still would lean towards the over. But the only one of these games that's going to be an official play for me is going to be the last one I'm talking about here, and that's the Yankees and the Jays. So with the New York Yankees and Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, they've been going back and forth, beating each other up. Toronto swept them earlier in the year. 4 straight? They swept them at home. And now you have this great series that's been back and forth. Here's what's funny about this, and I had no idea because I look up a lot of props. I'm checking strikeout props, over bases, because that's, in my opinion, that's the best thing that my algorithm spits out. I mean, you could do total outs. I just don't bet that a lot, and depending on what sports book, if they have it. So those are the 2 that I like to bet as far as prop bets in baseball. With that, Chris Bassett owns the Yankees. You heard me right. Go look that up. Go look at his strikeout numbers against them. I bet his strikeout prop earlier this year against the Yankees, and I think he ended up striking out 8 or 9 in that game. I don't know what it is, and this isn't something going back to the Oakland days. This is more with the Mets and the Blue Jays. He beats them up. He strikes them out quite a bit, so I'm definitely going to look at his strikeout prop. I think you can look at the Blue Jays, but I think the under is the better play. The wind is out at 7 miles an hour. So, again, not great bumps here with the wind, but it never hurts. High 70s. This is played in a dome, and I know a lot of people are pointing that out. The reason I mention high 70s is that anytime it's between 65 and 80 degrees with no rain in the forecast, they'll typically open up the dome. We have to wait and see if they will, but obviously there's a small bump to bats, but I love the pitching matchup. I think Max Fried comes out, pitches well against his Blue Jays team. I typically like the Jays against left-handed pitchers, and they don't strike out quite a bit, but Max can get his ground balls. And again, I'm telling you, go just Chris Bassett versus Yankees. Go put it in the StatMuse and look at what he's been doing against them. It's absurd. It doesn't make any sense. And I know in the last start, I think he gave up a couple of runs, but he still struck out a ton. That being said, guys, that's going to be my free play. Take the under in the Yankees-Mets game. Take Chris Bassett's over strikeouts. Just make sure it's not a ridiculous number. I will post something in the morning about where I'm seeing his strikeout prop for you guys. I try to do that as much as I can. It's not if I do miss, you guys can send a message, and hopefully I'll jump back on there and do it. But we have all those premium plays going on over at Pickdawgz. Make sure you're checking it out. There's a ton of good stuff. I've been talking about some of the other cappers, and it is fun doing some of the shows with other guys and seeing how their process works and things that they look at. And got to be honest, like if you can't learn from other people in the business, what are you doing? Because somebody might find some sort of an edge or a way that they look at things, and you might find out that somebody else's process is a little bit different than yours, but it works. So I always try to use as much as I can. I'm very, analytical, because I like information. But at the same point, I do think there's a lot of good stuff here. But I'll try to post what Bassett's strikeout prop says he's going to get. We'll see what the number is and what my model has him at. So we'll go from there. But that being said, guys, appreciate you listening. If you want to hit me up on social media, it's at JConn Sports. That's CONN on Twitter or X. I usually try to answer back. If you don't see me answering back, shoot another message. It's not going to annoy me. As I said, I try to get back to everyone. So appreciate you guys watching this. I'll be back tomorrow with another podcast.